Boom! Hey guys, what's up? I'm Breaking Free, and if this is your first time watching me, my name is Tommy Toy Travels, and I am doing a toy review of non-WWE. That is very rare on this channel, if this is your first time watching. So I'm reviewing the Super Friends Green Lantern and the Super Friends Batman. As far as I know, these are Walmart exclusives. So let's get to reviewing these. So here we go, my friends. We have Batman and Green Lantern, these Super Friends. The back of the box shows these Super Friends. There are two people missing, though, that unfortunately I would have liked to see in the set, but they're not there, if you get what I'm saying. But this is a set built on nostalgia. If any of you grew up watching the Super Friends, I know I did, watching reruns of it. And you can see Superman and Aquaman are in the set, but I think that this is wave one, just Batman and Green Lantern. As I said before, as far as I know, I think that these are Walmart exclusives. The way, if your Walmart is like mine and it's overclogged with DC Multiverse figures, the way I find that you can find them is just looking for the Super Friends at the top, or just looking for the DC Super Friends on the bottom, depending on how your Walmart has these on the shelf at your store. So we got Batman, Green Lantern. This is incredible. Let's start off with Batman, because I'm sure most people here are Bat fans. Me, I maybe might be more of a Green Lantern fan, although I think when it comes to films, Batman certainly has better films, like Batman Forever, my favorite Batman film. Alright, so this is a figure based on nostalgia, this line. So it fits that Mattel would use the most archaic form of articulation. I always have to bust out Mattel's articulation, because here's the deal. We have a standard for articulation in this day and age, and I say it's somewhere between Marvel Legends and WWE based on Mattel figures. This is old school piece of trash articulation in my mind. No ankle rocker pivots. What is the deal with that? The plastic on these guys feels much softer than we usually get, more aligned to what you feel with Marvel Legends. But when I get Marvel Legends, I kind of feel like it makes sense that the plastic feels a little cheaper, a little softer, because you are getting more articulation. But this guy, I don't understand what the point of it is, why they're sticking with this awfully outdated articulation that just really doesn't do anyone any good in my mind. It does have a lot of points of articulation, though, but not the points where you'd want it to be. Like no double at the knee, no double at the elbow, which is always a bummer. Sure, there's movement at the legs, but it really looks dated, doesn't look good. And this applies to the Green Lantern, too. But with that said, with that far behind, isn't this a little skinny for a Batman? Let's check out the back of the box. Let's see how buff Batman was from Super Friends. This might actually work for him. Sculpt-wise, I think they could have made this a little better. It seems like they just found an old Batman figure and just repainted it to make it look kind of Super Friends-esque. I do enjoy the cloth cape, though, because it does bring about that nostalgia spirit, because I remember getting the Batman animated figures when I was younger, and you can see that there is paint there where it just ends abruptly for his cape, but I think that's fine. And he does have an ab crunch, which doesn't move that much, but it does move if you wanted to. And I think the painting overall is very clean. There aren't many painted points on this figure, but where it is painted is nice. And at the wrist, you do get rotation but no bends, which is another point of articulation I would have liked to see. But overall, I think that this is a very fun, friendly Batman figure that is very bright, even though it lacks so much in the articulation department. And that's really bringing down Mattel's DC Multiverse figures. He comes with a plethora, vocab word guys, of accessories. First is like a grappling hook gun that you have to manually put back in to the slot, which is a little bit of a bummer, but it's not that bad, and he can hold it with one hand because he does come with an open hand. Unfortunately, there is like zero detail on this thing. It's just molded plastic, which I would have liked to see a little wash on there personally. I think that would have really elevated the figure. And then he comes with a Batarang, same thing. It's just sculpted in the same tone. Again, I would have liked to see that, having a little more detail and stuff like that. But for those of you that want to build up a little sense of excuses, you could say, oh, it's representative of like how it would look in a crappy cartoon or something, so that's why they did it. All right, the back of the box obviously shows a super hot picture of the Hall of Justice in nice yellow, orange tones with some red in there. And also it comes with a little backdrop, which if you guys have seen my WWE reviews, which I assume most people would, but if you're new to this video, don't forget to hit that like. And if you enjoy this, you should subscribe and let me know that you subscribed for the non-WWE content, because by doing that, you'll help me make more. So he comes with this really incredible backdrop, and I think this is one of my favorite things of this set, because it is bright, it is holographic, and it reflects very nicely. And on the back, it says "Per," which I'm going to assume you get them all. It'll say Super Friends. This is the kind of backdrop that I wish Mattel would do with WWE figures, because instead we just kind of get a kind of low quality backdrops that are basically made out of paper, where in this it is out of paper, but the holographic builds it up. Look at that nice base that says Super Friends. Batman does have a hole on both of his legs, so you can throw them down right there on that base and have him posed. Sorry guys, I'm having difficulty seeing right now. The hole on his leg seems much larger than that, and by putting him there, kind of covers up the picture of himself. Also, is this blue too dark, or would you rather see it a little lighter? Also, this picture looks more like the comics than it does Super Friends, so I don't know what's going on there. But this is Batman. It's not the worst Batman figure, and I'm sure if you're like a kid that has never received a Batman figure, I don't think you can go wrong with this figure, because it's nostalgic. It's Batman in blue, one of my favorite types of Batman, and it just works. It just works. It's like such a good starter figure for someone building a DC comic collection. And I think that's the great thing about this line, is that we're getting the classical costumes of these DC characters. But let's move over to what I'm a little bit more disappointed by, Green Lantern. Now, I am a huge Green Lantern Hal Jordan fan, so I had to pick this up when I saw it. No, I actually didn't have to pick it up when I saw it, because your purchases don't make you a fanboy, and it's just enjoying the character without having to buy materialistic goods. I can still appreciate them, guys. I'm getting deep in this review, that's what I'm saying. All right, so this is Hal Jordan, and unfortunately, here's the flaws I'm seeing right away. This head is super loose. You guys ready for a blast from the past? I have this ancient Green Lantern. I don't know when it came out. It probably came out like 5 years ago, and as you can tell, it's the same sculpt. I think for these figures, it's the same level of articulation. I'll be honest with you, that is super disappointing in my eyes. Different heads though. This might be a new head sculpt, but as you can see, it suffers from a crazy amount of looseness, and it might be a bit too small. On this head, you can see that it is much smaller than the other Green Lantern head. If I move that hand out of the way, I'm a bit of an idiot with this review. But both heads are loose. This might just be loose because it's used, but I think that this is let down by that head and the lack of articulation, as I said before, but I don't need to dwell on that. You guys know my opinion. This is super dated, but you can kind of ignore that for the fact that these are supposed to be like nostalgic throwbacks, so the archaic articulation might be able to be ignored for this series of figures, but I think in the future, Mattel is going to need to really figure out how they can stay competitive in the toy market, and maybe they'll be able to make DC as well represented as Marvel figure-wise. But I think that this is a good figure, although that head really bothers me. I think the printing is very nice. It's a different version of Green Lantern than the more contemporary one that I have here. This is more old school fashion. I think it's nice. I really enjoy the green. This is like the classic Green Lantern that I grew up with. This is a little strange though. Here seeing the painting just kind of ending with that crotch point or whatever, but that's what you get for this type of articulation. Nothing incredible, but I think that this is good, don't get me wrong, but the biggest problem with it is that it doesn't have any accessories other than his backdrop, and for me, I think it's such a letdown if you give Green Lantern a figure without his Green Lantern, especially considering he comes with an open hand. What's the freaking point of this figure, guys, if he doesn't have an accessory? What's the heck, Mattel? Again, like Batman, he comes with a backdrop that, again, looks very cool. On the back, it says NDS for Nintendo DS, probably. And on the front, it is a picture based on the comics, not actually Super Friends. Little odd that they did that, but, so here we have the two pictures of these guys. It depends. You might want to have one picture in the front, one picture in the back, and you can see that there are spaces for Superman and Aquaman. But overall, if you had $20 and really wanted to buy a figure from this line, even though I am the biggest Green Lantern fanboy, I'd say get the Batman right now, because it doesn't seem like they are shipping Aquaman and Superman at this point. It seems like these are shipping in cases of 3-3 ratios, Batman to Green Lantern, so you should be able to find them. They just might be a little difficult to find based on everything else clogging the shelves. But if history is anything, you will know that these will stay on the shelf for a long time. So even though this Batman is super flawed and the articulation is kind of you could wait for the DC Icons. I think they're redoing the DC Icon line and has a new name for it, and they're a little larger, more to scale to Marvel Legends. You could wait for that Batman, but if you really want a Batman now, this is my recommended. I don't really want to recommend the Green Lantern though, because he doesn't have the lantern. It's possible he didn't use it on the show, but if that's the case, give him some something coming out of like a big fist, a big green fist or something to make it more valuable to the consumer. But right now, I think that these figures are all right. And if you really want them, I'm not going to hold you back from buying them.